Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
5:06 on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for tuning into O'Connor and Company so you can start your day the right way. And we're really happy that you did. Good morning. Thanks for waking up in time to catch the very beginning of this program. Those people who show up, an hour and a half in, they miss all the fun, Julie Gunlock. This is where we, you know what? Our conversation is like peeking into a top secret group chat.
That's right.
Among high-level people in the Trump administration. That's what it is. It's very similar.
Just like that.
Except we're not including Jeffrey Goldberg in our conversation. Although Jeffrey's welcome to join us if he would like.
No, he's not.
Not really. Not in any way whatsoever. Coming up in 7:05, Hans von Spakovsky, who was like the Jeffrey Goldberg of the Heritage Foundation. He'll be joining us. That's a terrible insult. Why would I say that? Hans von Spakovsky will join us. Talk about these activist judges continuing to block Donald Trump, the duly elected president of the United States. At 7:35, Curtis Leggett from the National Association of Broadcasters. And then at 8:05, the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, the one, the only, Glenn Youngkin, will be our guest. Talk about this just completed legislative session and the amendments that he's preparing right now to fix it all. I'm Larry O'Connor. That's Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Saw this story. Did you see the story? Do you use Signal ever? Do you ever use Signal?
I do, actually.
I use Signal. I had Signal last time Trump was in the White House because I had friends who worked in the White House and they prefer to use Signal.
Sure.
Signal, for those of you who don't, it's more of like an encrypted version of WhatsApp. WhatsApp is just garbage. WhatsApp is just spam and garbage and ridiculous. But Signal is pretty secure. It's a messaging application. It's more secure, and you can also set it so that your messages disappear based on a certain timeline. Which,
I don't trust anything, by the way.
Nah, no reason to trust a damn thing.
Right.
Absolutely not. But that's what Signal is. And so I loaded Signal up again now that the second Trump administration was because I know that people who work in the White House or work for the administration at various levels, they prefer to use Signal over regular text messaging. And I saw this story come by that I'm sure everyone by now has heard about, that there was a pretty high-level group chat going on there.
Yeah.
Between Secretary
Were
of
you a
Defense.
part of it, Larry?
I cannot confirm or deny. Pete Hegseth, Vice President J.D. Vance, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, several other members of the administration in the national security realm. And at one point, it appears as though it was National Security Advisor Mike Waltz who went to include another person. And the speculation is that it was a person who worked in National Security Council or at the Pentagon with the initials JG. But
Julie
instead of that, not Julie Gunlock. It could have been Julie Gunlock. Do you have something you want to reveal right now? Because that would be awesome.
Look, that's a safer person to add to these Signal chats, but go on. That's a safer JG.
Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic ended up being put on, which, frankly, what are you more upset about? That Jeffrey Goldberg was included in this conversation or that somebody within that group of august conservative Republicans has Jeffrey Goldberg in their phone?
I honestly cannot believe. So apparently, and look, I use Signal, but I don't know all the, don't ask me too much of how it works.
Yeah.
But apparently you can set it so that it can be open to anybody inviting anybody. So I guess there are closed chats where the person who started the chat, the group chat, sort of controls who's added.
Right. Yes.
And then there are ways to just open it up that you could add your mother, you could add your third grade teacher, you could add your neighbor, anyone. Apparently this one was set so that anybody could, and Mike Waltz added Jeffrey Goldberg.
He did.
Not exactly a friend to the administration.
No. So Jeffrey Goldberg is the writer for The Atlantic who came up with the hoax of many, many hoax stories.
Pushed Russia collusion. Yeah.
Yes. And Iraq weapons of mass destruction. It goes way back to the fake stories that this guy pushes. Is it wrong that when I saw these stories first pop up yesterday, the first thought I had was, oh, God, what if some journalist accidentally sees the group chats that I have with Julie Gunlock and Heather Hunter throughout the day? Because we tend to be a little catty now and again about people in the news.
It's all big catty about David French, though.
Pretty catty about David French and Jonah Goldberg. There is a lot of that. and our friends at the Bulwark.
Yes.
A pretty catty about the Princess of Sussex.
Yes.
Meghan Markle does not get off well in our group chats. It's true. And this is a good lesson, I think, for people about how to properly, and you would think that the people within our national security apparatus would have already known this lesson. But so, I mean, listen, it's not a good look. Mistakes were made, I think.
Yes, but can we, look, not a great look. Mistakes were made, but can we, everybody calm down about the war plans were
Thank
leaked?
you.
I mean,
that's the big.
Calm down.
Let me read the headline. Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. So I read the text messages that are the evidence of the war plans. Am I missing something? There are literally no war plans.
No, I know. Well,
other than top people
it's
saying,
all spin.
yeah, it's the most damning thing is the vice president saying, listen, the president's already given a green light on this, and Pete, speaking to the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, if you're good to go, go ahead. And this has to do with the recent action against the Houthis, who have been bombarding our ships endlessly for the last year.
Yes.
With drones and with missiles. And I literally know somebody who was on one of those ships on the Stockdale that's been engaged in these defensive maneuvers for the past year. A recent graduate of the Naval Academy.
Literally,
it's like, boy,
pirates exist. Pirates still exist.
Yeah, it's been terrible. They've been under fire for over a year, and so finally, the only thing that can be described as a war plan is the Secretary of Defense, the Vice President saying the president's given a green light. SecDef, if you're good to go, go ahead. That's not a war plan. That's the affirmation that it's not great that Jeffrey Goldberg at the Atlantic got it ahead of time, but nothing was compromised here. Yeah,
it is interesting how you sort of do go, guys, can you move this? Isn't there some sort of, like the olden days where you plug your computer in and it would make that sort of loading sound? Like, isn't there some classified thing that you guys should be on? Talking about this, but then when you actually reviewed it, it really was amazing. When this broke yesterday, I thought, oh dear, what did they reveal? What? And then you read it, and you just as you laid out there, Larry, it's not a nothing burger, but it's
the scandal is that Jeffrey Goldberg was included in this chat.
That's right.
Not anything that was revealed, just the fact that he was included in the chat. That's the problematic thing. As Tony Kinnett over at the Daily Signal put it, this is what's been revealed. Quote, okay, we're ready to do that thing that everyone knew we were going to do. Yeah, okay, great, let's go. Also, Europe sucks. That's it. That's the whole thing. Because there was some criticism of Europe, which again, nothing was said in this thing that they haven't been saying out loud in front of everybody. I mean, some were speculating that this was entrapment, that they were saying, hey, let's let Jeffrey Goldberg in on this and make him think it's bigger than it is.
It's actually really funny because last night they were everyone was spinning. And then someone said, you know what? I bet they let him in on purpose so that it could leak to Europe how much that we think they suck, right? And it's like, and somebody pointed out, we can just tell them. Like,
that's not a state secret.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not a state
we
secret that Donald Trump and this administration does not have a high opinion of NATO and the European leadership. A little bit more on this, and I'm going to get back to my own group chats here and make sure that I don't have anybody from the Bulwark added there. My gosh. I didn't mean to put JV last in there. I meant JD Vance. Oh, I'm in trouble. It's 5:15 WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes first on the 5s. Here's Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. You want it?
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Scott Jennings last night on CNN had a pretty good response on this, as he always does, after John Berman laid it out there and explained how awful everything is.
Are you shocked? Well, sure. I mean, it's a shocking thing, and they've admitted that it was a mistake and admitted that it's authentic, so they're owning up to it. I think they're still, based on what I've heard tonight, trying to figure out how it happened. I'm not sure the National Security Advisor Walls even knows Goldberg. In fact, I don't believe he knows him and has never met him. I did learn a few things in some of my conversations, if you're interested. One is that the Signal program was preloaded on a number of devices and agency computers in this circuit when they got there. So in their view, it was already in use. Number two, in some of the messages, they talk about needing to go to the high side computers, which is the classified system. So they clearly were knowing there was a line on what you could discuss in a chat like this versus classified system. Number three, there is a dispute over whether the term war plans is being exaggerated. And number four, look, I love the policy. It's well executed. You've got a thoughtful policy discussion going on, and we did what the Biden administration would not do, stop these people from harassing our shipping lanes and our boats and our Navy. So good on the Trump administration for reversing a bad policy.
So there you go. So I was like, that sort of breaks it down pretty well. It's like, if this is the biggest scandal the Trump administration, and it probably won't be, but if this is the biggest problem, then I think we're okay. Now, there is speculation, though. Again, I want to boil it down to what I think is the most objectionable thing, which is the error in bringing in Jeffrey Goldberg into this conversation, because he is an enemy of this administration, an enemy of President Trump, and he is a hack left-wing journalist for The Atlantic. So, that is an unforgivable error, frankly. The question is, who loses their job over it? I can't imagine National Security Advisor Mike Waltz sitting there on his phone saying, hang on, let me set up this chat. There's no possible way that he's the one who did this. It's got to be somebody on his staff. It's got to be somebody who works for Jeffrey Goldberg, who is tasked with setting these things up.
Honestly, I'm so disgusted by the left's reaction to this. We have a Biden administration that is responsible for the death of 13 service members, and there was barely an apology, barely any attention to those families. In fact, they dismissed those families and smeared those families when those families were welcoming President Trump's attention. So I just, this didn't reveal anything that is that important aside from our kind of irritation with Europe. And it is, again, it's not a nothing burger. It shouldn't have happened. But the idea that, you have Hillary Clinton tweeting about this. You have Pete Buttigieg tweeting about this. It is so revolting when none of these people cared about 13 service members dying at Abbey Gate. So, I just...
Oh, I agree.
I know
the fact that they're all screaming off with their heads when they, there's never any accountability on their side of it. But we did run with, especially in the Pentagon, we did sort of make the case that we need to bring accountability back here. I think this is, whether someone loses their job or somebody gets put in the doghouse at the very least. I think that there needs to be a repercussion
100%.
Because, and not because Hillary Clinton's demanding it, not because President Trump should demand it. That you got to set the tone.
I agree. Yeah, but I'm just talking about the breathless reaction out here, as if we've revealed that these guys in this chat have revealed something important. It's really. They haven't.
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all. Yes, Jessica Tarlov yesterday on the Five was like, I don't want to hear anybody ever complain about Hillary Clinton's emails again. It's like they're desperate to get anything.
I know.
That's true. These guys saying, okay, let's go ahead and hit the Houthis as we've been promising for the last 4 weeks. So Jeffrey Goldberg knew about it 2 hours before it happened. That's equivalent to 80,000 emails during the entire first term of the Obama administration, being on an unsecured server that Anthony Weiner could access while he's sexting minors. That's totally the same thing.
Yeah.
100%, sure. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth did speak to this as he was getting off a plane at Andrews yesterday, and Mary Margaret Olahan was there to capture it. Here it is, cut one.
One question.
Can you share how your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic? And were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign because of the skill and courage of our troops. I've monitored it very closely from the beginning, and you see We've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops, our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through. And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at shacks in Yemen. President Trump said, no more. We will reestablish deterrence. We will open freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly.
Yeah. All right. That's Pete Hegseth's statement. And once again, just want to reiterate, the headline was, they texted me their war plans, and there are literally no war plans. So Jeffrey Goldberg still batting 1,000.
Wrong
It's
again.
523.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:36. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here to our morning extravaganza. We just sit back. We talk about what's going on in the news. We give our analysis, our commentary, make some jokes. It's like you're eavesdropping into a private group chat every morning here
That's a perfect
on
way to put it.
WMAL, right? I mean, that's really what's going on here. And we have some pretty cool people who join our chat. Later this morning at 7:05, Hans von Spakovsky, manager of the Election Law Reform Initiative over at Heritage, will join us, talk about these liberal judges who are just, well, overstepping their authority in the Constitution. In fact, we're going to break down the latest on that just in a moment. 7:35, Curtis, his name is Curtis. Don't call him Chris. That really bothers him, actually. I apologize. Curtis Leggett. He's the president and CEO of the National Association of Broadcasters, and clearly he's going to be impressed with my broadcasting skills, not being able to pronounce his first name. 8:05, hopefully we'll redeem ourselves with the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, and his latest budget amendments that he's just laid out there, trying to fix the mess that the legislature just handed him. It's Julie Gunlock over there and Larry O'Connor over here, and it's a good morning here in the nation's capital.
It is.
Actually, it's feeling spring-like, isn't it?
It definitely is.
Except for the evenings. My favorite part
and the early mornings.
in the early, mornings and early, it's like it's still winter.
Yeah.
At those time of day, and my favorite part of living in this area is dusk. Like happy hour, basically, is what I'm saying. Starting. So just starting around 5, 6 o'clock, where you can sit out. Starts to get a little chilly, but not like cold.
You have a great deck too.
Exactly.
Great,
sit
backyard
on the deck,
and
sit in the
yeah.
yard, do a fire ring, have
Yeah.
a cigar, drink
Right.
some wine, talk to friends, and it's like 40 below when I try to do that right now. It's like you have this beautiful day, and then it's like the Arctic ring when you go outside in the evening. So,
we have an outdoor heater. And we go out and we sit out there and we put blankets on, and it's really cozy. You should try that.
Should I do that? Should I get the heaters?
Oh no! Now you're going to be during the breaks. I know exactly what Larry's gonna
I
be
do
doing.
show prep during the
we
breaks.
we
You know
love
that.
our little outdoor heater. It's great.
Our august executive producer calls this segment Rebellion in Robes, and I think that's a good way to describe it, because there's a whole lot of activist judges who are trying to get their own moments in the spotlight. We've talked about this liberal D.C. judge, Boasberg. Now, Boasberg is the woman who enjoyed all that PR and publicity about being the first ever this or that. No, wait.
No, Boasberg's
no,
the man.
I'm sorry. You're right. That's Boasberg.
For now.
I'm thinking. Well, it's hard to keep them straight.
I know.
I need trading cards. I need those playing cards like
And Boasberg's wife is a big D.C. activist.
That's the one. Yes, I'm sorry. Boasberg's the one who tried to block the deportation. Basically,
Bring
tell
him
the
back.
administration, tell the executive branch that they can't conduct national security affairs and deport illegal aliens who are in this country and part of a terrorist group. We're not allowed to do that. Well, he's not going to lift the block. Judge Boasberg won't. And so the Trump administration has responded basically saying, because Boasberg keeps saying, well, you have to tell me this, and you have to tell me that,
Right.
and you have to reveal this, and you have to reveal that. And finally, the Trump administration has said, now, we've done enough. We're done with playing this game. They have now invoked the state secrets privilege in response to Judge Boasberg's latest inquiries about the details of deportation flights under the Alien Enemies Act. Now, this is a legal action taken to basically say, no, we don't need to tell you. These are state secrets. We are not obliged to tell you. We cannot be compelled to tell you, and we will not tell you, because there is a separation of powers in this country, and this is national security, foreign policy that is 100%
within the
without a doubt, within
Yes.
the purview
Yes.
of the Article 2 powers of the executive branch. And so that's where we are now,
Yeah.
apparently.
Larry, and I encourage everybody. I mean, obviously, Julie Kelly is a frequent guest of this show, friend of both of ours, and we encourage you guys to check out her Substack and her Twitter feed. But some of the stuff she's revealed about Boasberg, he was one of the judges that heard a lot of the January 6th hearings. And the lengths that he went to put nonviolent offenders in to give them long jail sentences, it is really astonishing when you think about what this judge did to put away American citizens and what he's doing now to defend the lengths he's going to defend these gang members, these murderous gang members. It's a really stark contrast. So check out Julie Kelly's feed because she's been doing a lot of sort of research on this and reminding people of just how imbalanced this guy is.
This judge claims that the Alien Enemies Act doesn't apply to Tren de Aragua because it's not a foreign nation.
Right.
But there's nothing in the Aliens Act that specifies it has to be a foreign nation. It just says an enemy of the United States. And we've already determined that the terror groups can operate outside the confines of geographic locations, and they are still enemies of this country.
Yes.
Meanwhile, if that's not the most unhinged thing you'll ever hear, listen to this. This is the appeals judge, Patricia Millett, who was hearing this. Listen to how she describes the treatments of the gang members that have been deported.
There were no procedures in place to notify people. Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemy Act than has happened here. If the government...
Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemies Act than people got here. That's Judge Millett, who was hearing one of the appeals on this case. Like I said, coming up at 7:05, we're going to speak with Hans von Spakovsky about this, who's a former federal attorney for the Justice Department, and we'll get his take on how these judges have completely
WMAL, making sense of world events, because those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
We now have an update on that so-called college student out of Columbia. He was 31 years old and hadn't been in class for several months. That said, they're still calling him a Columbia student. Hamas activist Mahmoud Khalil. You realize this guy, Mahmoud Khalil, you know, when they did the campus shutdowns and they had the whole tent city and they took over a building and everything. Yeah. So when the cops or the administration or the local government officials were trying to, get these dirtbags out of a building that they had illegally seized and in a bigoted, racist fashion determined that, Jews weren't allowed to cross the campus. Yeah. Jews weren't allowed to go into the building. This is what we're talking about. So when the cops or the administration wanted to go in and sort of talk to the leadership, talk to people, it's like, let's negotiate something here. Get out. We need you to get out. It was this guy, Mahmoud Khalil. He represented the terrorists. He was the guy who walked up and said, oh, you want to talk to the people who seized the building? You got to go through me. He's their leader.
Yes.
Okay? By any objective measure, people treat him like, oh, he was just there studying, English literature, and they just seized him and grabbed him because he had a poster on the wall of his dorm. It's like that's not who this guy is. This guy is a pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist spokesperson. He's the one who ran the damn thing.
Yep.
All right. I just wanted to make sure everyone realized that. He's the ringleader. He is he's still being held, of course. And apparently, it says, well, he was in this country legally. He was in the country legally. When you come into the country legally on a student visa, whatever, you have to fill out a form. You have to fill out an application, right? And apparently, according to a report out of ICE, when he filled out his visa application, he omitted a whole bunch of ties that he had to Hamas and to terror.
Shock.
Yeah.
Just a shock, Larry.
I know.
Imagine this guy isn't an upstanding guy.
Among the organizations that he did not disclose he had connections with was United Nations Relief Works Agency for Palestine Refugees. That's UNRWA. That's the agency infamously stripped of tens of millions of dollars in federal funding because 12 of its members took part in the October 7th attack.
Yeah.
Why would you hide something like that? I thought that would be a wonderful thing to brag about.
Right.
Oh, I work with this great relief agency. Why would you hide that? According to the write-up over at Fox News, Sarah Rumpf got married. Oh, I didn't know that. Look
I didn't
at
know that either.
Huh. She's hyphenated now.
Congratulations.
Good, yeah, congratulations, Sarah Rumpf. Okay. And she's writing for Fox News now.
All right.
But I digress. Sarah Rumpf Whitten wrote this up over at Fox News. Khalil failed to disclose his employment with UNRWA on his visa application, alleging this omission warrants deportation, which it does. If you lie on your visa application, you're eligible for deportation right away, let alone the fact that you're actually participated in pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist activities. But here's my favorite part of all the updates on this guy. The families of the hostages that are being held, which is probably a good reminder. There are still hostages being held by these terrorists
starved.
That Mahmoud Khalil is calling the heroes, the freedom fighters.
Yeah.
There's still an American being held by Hamas. The families of the hostages are suing this guy.
Good.
In American civil court for aiding and abetting the terror group. That's terrific.
It really is.
All we need is for a judge to let this go forward to the first step so we get discovery. And you'll see all these people who the Democrats have been protesting for and on behalf of, who, remember, the Senate Judiciary Committee said, free Mahmoud, like he's some sort of hero of civil rights or something. I want all the discovery to come through so you can see the kind of disgusting connections this guy has.
This is the Democrat Party. This guy is a perfect poster child for what the Democrat Party, I mean, that and porn in school libraries. That is the Democrat Party today. It is absolutely shameful. I think about Sam Nunn. I think about Moynihan. Yeah. I think about these Democrats that were in office when I came to Washington and how they would go, what are you, why would you defend a monster like this who worked for an organization that participated in October 7th and who walks around campus blocking the movements of Jewish students, terrorizes Jews, locks them in a library, bangs on the windows. Why in the world would you defend someone like this? But that's what the Democrats are. That's what they've become. Well, that and Jasmine Crockett and fake eyelashes. But it is really astonishing what the other major party in the United States has become and what they defend.
And the families of these hostages are suing this guy, the person who's now become the iconic representation of the Democrats, as he said, for aiding and abetting Hamas' continued acts of international terrorism. And their self-described acts in furtherance of their goals to assist Hamas have included terrorizing and assaulting Jewish students, unlawfully taking over and damaging public and university property on Columbia's campus, and physically assaulting Columbia University employees. That's who the Democrats are
That's right.
going to bat for. That's whose hill they're dying on. And listen, the lines couldn't be clearer right now in this country. You're either on Mahmoud Khalil's side, which would be on the side of Hamas, or you're on America's side. That truly is what it is. It's outrageous. It doesn't matter how bad he is, you can't deport him. No, actually, literally, that's what the law says.
That's right.
If this is who you are as a guest of this country, we can revoke the privilege of being here. It's 5:53.